I'm Liz Whiteacre. Let's talk about why audience matters. Our objectives this week is to think about blogging and the transferable skills we already have. How does writing your academic research-based essay translate into a personal blog or perhaps a blog eventually at work or helping other people with their web content down the road? We'll also think about how we can identify target and secondary audiences, because when we think back to our rhetorical situation, that helps us make choices about how we would want to write our blog and what kind of topics we'd want to include. We'll talk briefly about some things you want to think about as you're developing and designing blogs and how you can get started in WordPress. Now, our readings this week will go into more detail, and of course, in ACE on the resources page, there are a number of tools you can use to help you in this lesson as you get your own first, maybe, WordPress blog started. Blogs can be written by one person. It can be written by multiple people. Sometimes bloggers will invite other people to share on their page, or they will interview people. So a blog is very versatile. Views are shared on a subject. So when you have a blog, you're often coming to it knowing that there will be a particular filter or point of view of the person writing versus necessarily just going to the dictionary, right? Or going to a news source that might be presenting objective information that you would then take and develop your own opinion on. A lot of times blogs are a bit conversational in that way, where writers are very upfront about sharing, hey, I had this experience, this is what makes me think about this, and how you might be able to apply it to your life. Posts or information videos that are posted on blogs are usually displayed in chronological order. So the blogger has made a commitment to providing content at a particular rate, maybe once a month, maybe every other day, maybe every day. And when you go to the blog, you will see the most recent post the person has made at the top of the screen, and then past ones down below. There's an archiving process that WordPress does automatically. So if you want to see something that your favorite blogger has written 2 months ago to 5 years ago, you can usually go in and access those archives. It's a little bit different than a setup with a web page, where often you have a static page on the front, and then there are different pages that people visit. In WordPress, you have an option to do both of those things in the blog, and so that'll be something you're going to think about when you're designing your own work. Posts are usually multimodal. It is very rare to see a blog that has 0 pictures, 0 hyperlinks, right? Just black and white text. So we're going to be using the skills that we have started to develop in class, and we'll be applying what we learned from our blogs to our research paper later on in the term, kind of going back and forth. But you'll have an opportunity to think about, when you're talking about a source, hyperlinking to it so that your readers can actually go visit it in that moment, and also presenting either still graphics or video content that can engage your readers as well. Blogs are often seen as informational websites. People usually go to a blog in order to get some element of expertise and also personal experience associated with that, and they will have varying degrees of credibility. So something you can do when you are establishing your own blog, just like you did with your paper earlier this term, where you talked about how you were going to be a credible researcher in college, you can let your readers know who you are, what your level of expertise is. You can practice great attribution habits, where you let people know where you're getting information, when you're sharing other people's information, etc. And that is going to help heighten your credibility. So when people come to your blog, they know that they can trust you and your experiences as you share them. When you're writing for your college courses in a variety of disciplines, you will be thinking about, as we already talked about, the rhetorical situation. You are writing for what purpose, in what context, to which audience, and what are the best ways to send your message to those people. Same thing with the blog. In terms of author trustworthiness, same thing. How are you practicing good habits to let people know how information is being used by you so that they can vet your sources and also understand that what you think is based on different credible things? The same skills of research writing and attribution can be applied to your blog writing. We will be creating blogs that incorporate at least two outside sources. Now, these may or may not be books that you read, right? We immediately start to go and we think, oh, college stuff, books, encyclopedias, right? We think about peer-reviewed research journals. You can certainly do those things, but you can also find credible websites, other blogs, government sites, company sites, maybe even, and be pulling in those websites into your blog. And again, letting people know how can they get to that for other additional information. And also, how are you incorporating those other people's ideas by being clear when you are summarizing, when you are directly quoting, etc. Now, we are not using MLA format for our blogs. So that'll be a little bit different, but we're still using those same skills of knowing when to cite and how to cite and doing it consistently. So that'll be something that we'll explore, and all of those skills you'll be able to transfer to the professional writing that you do in the future. In academic writing, we want to be clear. We talked about having a thesis statement and claims that support that and evidence that illustrates that for people and warrants or explanations of why do I think this is this. The same thing happens with blogs. We want to be clear about what our message is. We want to be somewhat concise. Blogs are usually pretty short. People don't take a lot of time. I don't know. I'm going to get personal for a moment. Recipe blogs. I love looking up new recipes and trying them in the kitchen. But sometimes when I have to sit there and scroll and scroll, you've found a couple of these, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and scroll in order to get down to the recipe when I'm not interested in a 2,000 word personal essay on the person's experience coming up with the recipe, right? You want to be mindful of your audience's attention span, why they're coming to you, how much information they need, and we want to be organized and concise. And then also voice and personality. When we think about tone in academic work, we want to be professional. We're usually using third person or first person. When you are blogging, certainly first person, you are establishing yourself as the expert and the narrator in this, but you might also find yourself wanting to experiment with second person if you want to give a sense of conversation with your reader and say, hey, you can do this too. Here are the steps that you need to take. You can certainly make sure your personality is coming across clearly and consistently by the word choice, the language choice, the syntax choices, how you're deciding to talk to your readers. And you may find it's similar to how you want to do that in academic writing, and you might find that it's a little bit different in this more casual setting. Before you get started with your blog, it's really important to think about who are you writing to. I put in this target here. Right here in the center. Think about your target audience as your bullseye, right? These are the people that you are talking directly to and you are hoping will engage in the way you want them to engage. For example, let's say that I was just looking at some student examples of blogs in the resources student work gallery page in our LMS, and there was a student who had a blog on how to keep an aquarium. So her target audience right here would be people who are interested in setting up and maintaining an aquarium, right? She is talking very specifically to those people and giving them advice and talking about a whole different range of topics that they'll want to be aware of and very interested in. Those are people who probably want to follow her blog and see all of the posts as they're coming out. The secondary audience, or that second ring in this graphic, would be people who find the blog and maybe they're thinking about aquariums, or maybe they had one in the past. So they're not planning to set up an aquarium or maintain an aquarium right now, but they have enough interest that they want to engage with the blog and learn more about it, and that might lead to them doing that, or it might lead to them being entertained, or they might pass that on to somebody else. And then that tertiary audience, or that third level of audience, those would be people who, let's say the student's aunt came to the blog and read it just because her niece wrote it. That would be somebody who is reading the blog and participating, but is there for a reason other than the blog's topic. And you'll see that sometimes happen where you'll have celebrities with YouTube accounts or blogs or those sorts of things, social media accounts, where people are coming to that content because they're very interested in the person, or they're entertained by that person's style, or they find it kind of interesting. But the topic itself isn't necessarily the reason why they're there. So those would be kind of that third ring or outer ring of people. What do you want to think about before you start developing and designing your blog this week for class? First of all, think about your own author expertise or curiosity. You can approach this blog in a lot of different ways. I'm asking you to write within a particular rhetorical situation, right? I am selecting the context there, right? You're going to write to an audience of your choice, a theme blog that has a very clear topic, right? You're going to be incorporating at least 2 sources per post. You're going to be including at least 1 graphic per post. So I have those types of parameters, but in terms of what you want to write about, that's all you. So think about things that you have some expertise in that you might want to teach other people about. That can be really rewarding to you, and something that you might continue on with after the class ends. Or it might be something that you're really curious about. You want to take us on a journey of discovery with you. Let's say you thought, hey, I have been wanting to get plans for my apartment since March, right? And I'm going to use this as an opportunity to go out and get a couple and figure out how am I going to take care of them, and right. And so you can be blogging about different issues that are coming up with you, and taking readers along on this journey of plant care. So they're kind of learning it with you at the same time, and you could be taking pictures of your plant as it's developing, etc. So there are kind of 2 different points of view that you can come from. Whatever you choose should be something that's really personally fulfilling to you. It should be something that's fun to do, that you're excited to write about and learn about, and something that you'd be excited to share with people that you know outside of the class. Like, hey, this is really cool. That kind of topic is going to be really personally rewarding for you, and it's going to be much easier to sit down and write these blogs and practice, because learning the technology, learning this new way of writing perhaps to you, right, that should be what is kind of the challenge here, not what do I want to write about. If you come saying, I'm so excited to write about this topic now, then the other stuff's a lot easier. Then think about your target audience. Okay, I have this knowledge, I have this interest in watercolor painting, and I want to talk to people who are as advanced as I am. Right? And so that's going to assume a particular level of knowledge that your audience is going to have. Or you might say, okay, I have this expertise in watercolor painting, and I want to talk to people who have never picked up a paintbrush before. I want to excite them to start it. I want to explain to them how they can maintain it. And I want to explain to them how they can find a rewarding practice on their own by showing them some different ways to go about doing it. So thinking about who you want to talk about your topic to is really going to be helpful in terms of designing your blog and thinking about what your posts are going to be about. Then the message, right? If you think about, okay, these are the things that I have expertise in or I'm really curious about learning about, this is who I would want to write to, these are my ideal readers. Well, what's the message that you want to send to them? And then what's the best design to facilitate that message? So for example, I would like to get more people gardening in either pots in their apartment if they don't have a yard space, or in a little patch of land that they might have access to. So if that is my goal, and my target audience are people who are not doing that yet, well, I can get even more specific, right? If I want to talk to students and how they can be growing maybe some of their own food in their apartments, right? That gets even more specific. And so my message might be, you can grow your own food and incorporate it into a healthy lifestyle while you're still a student. While I'm setting up my blog, I might want to think about what is the best way for people to navigate this. Do I want to start with posts that are how-to in nature, like how to get started, how to plant seeds, how to know if your seeds are doing so well, how to select plants? I could do that. And then people are able to look through my archive and kind of start at the moment that is most helpful to them in their personal journey. And then those subtopics might be, well, I need to kind of think about, if somebody's never done it before, what are the things that would be interesting to them and where should I start? Now for this class, I'm asking you to write 3 posts. And so you're not making a huge commitment to this. You can certainly design out a longer plan, especially if you end up enjoying it. This can be a wonderful way to continue to practice your writing skills outside of class, to develop a professional writing sample that you can share with potential internship folks or potential employers if you keep it up over the next few years. So that's something to keep in mind as you do this too. I'm very happy to report that we had a UIndy student when I first got here doing a blog for English 102, and she was able to take her blog and present it, and she won a prestigious internship and got to go to Washington, D.C. for a summer and work with the National Institute of Weather and Safety, just because of this, right? This reading log that she was keeping for her literature class. I've had some students win writing competitions with their blogs from 101, and I have links to those examples in the student work gallery. Lots of links to just all different kinds of topics that you might find interesting, just to see the variety, to give you ideas of different things that you can do. And there's also an example on there of a student, 2013 or 2014, a long time ago, he created his 101 blog. He was a musician, and so he started his blog on different types of music that was interesting to him and different venues. He has turned it into, over the last 7-8 years, a personal website for himself, because he was himself a musician. And if you go check it out, it's pretty amazing how much that site has developed and how awesome it is for him to be able to market himself as a musician in the area where he's living. And it's become like this real deal thing. So definitely consider that as you are coming into this project. It's not just, she's making us do this for 101. Right? But hey, here's this opportunity I have to explore a type of writing that tons of people do all over the world, and I can pick something that might be sustainable and lead to a lot of different opportunities. I wanted to give a short review of getting started in WordPress. Your readings have some how-to videos to help you out as well, and the assignment page also gives you some step-by-step information. I think that this is important, just so before you start the week, you kind of have expectations in your mind. And if you get stuck, don't hesitate to reach out. There are no questions that cannot be answered. First of all, I recommend that you check out some of the former student blogs in the student work gallery. Again, it'll give you so many ideas for different types of design, different types of topics, etc. Make sure that you complete the Sky Pack first so you know what is expected of you and how to go through the different steps. When you're ready to start your blog, make sure that you visit WordPress.com. There's another website out there called WordPress.org, and that's for developers of those templates. So if you get in somewhere and you're not quite sure what's going on, make sure that you check that extension. WordPress.com is for folks like us who are developing their blogs for the public. And then go slowly. Make sure you set aside 30 minutes and just have a quiet time where you can really think about the steps, things that you're being asked. Following step by step by step is going to make the process go wonderfully for you. So when you go to WordPress.com, you will be asked to create an account. Think about what email address you would like to share. You can use your UND Gmail account, no problem. You can also use your personal email account. One thing to consider between those two would just be longevity. If you use your UND account, you will be able to down the road change that to a personal account if you want to. If it's a blog that you really started, going on and you stop being a student and you lose your email, that's the only thing to consider. Or if you're excited about this, you've always wanted to do a blog, you can certainly use your personal one. In creating that account, you're essentially signing up to have WordPress, and you'll notice that you're able to check out other people's blogs and your reader, etc. Then when you click on Create My Site, it's going to start with asking you for a domain name. Think about this. Some students will think that, okay, I'm going to write about food. I'm going to call it awesomefood.com. And then as they start brainstorming before their first post, they change it to, no, I want to write about how to get involved on campus during a pandemic, right? And they change their topics, and then they're a little bit sad that their domain name was so specific. So it's okay if you want to make it a little bit more general. It can be very specific if you know, I'm doing it about this. You can use that. You can also think about using your name, kind of locking in and getting that for yourself. It can be helpful, but you can also choose to design your site so that your full name isn't out there and people can't recognize you as an author. So if you want to even do something like English 101 project, right, you can do that, and that's no trouble. And then on your About page, you can maybe just use your first name or maybe not give your specific name. If you have concerns, get in touch with me and we can talk about anonymity and also establishing your credibility at the same time. So you'll type what you want in there. And so I put in, let's do this 2020. And then they'll give you a big page. There are a lot of options. WordPress would like to make money, but they do offer free accounts. You just have to pay attention and make sure that is what you are selecting. Do not spend any money on this project. Save it for food or, I don't know, a cool book or your hobby, right? Get something nice for your parents. Do not spend any money on this. I wanted to show you, here is the name I typed in, and then down here, you are going to see what is available. Notice, let's do this 2020. They have tacked on an extension here, all of these numbers, probably because, sorry about that, because other people have already gotten that. If you don't like that, you can come back up in here and try different combinations or try a different name and play around a little bit. If you don't care about all the numbers, then that's fine. But you're going to want to make sure that you select this very first one that says free. All of the ones below are customizations that you need to pay for. You don't need that at all. Then it's going to take you to a page that says pick a plan that's right for you. You do not want any of these plans because, again, we're not spending any money on this project. But sometimes it's hard for students to see this right here. For me, everybody, not just students, but right here where it says not sure yet, start with a free site. that is what you want to click on, and that's going to continue on the path of having a free WordPress site. Now, if you fall in love with this, like the student who's turned it into a professional website, probably he's come in and has maybe selected one of these plans over the years, and that's something you can do later if you choose to. Once you've said, I want to continue with the free site, it takes you to your new site. It is critical that you come and click on Get Started and go through the tutorial. If you skip that and just start building your site, you are going to find later on that you are not able to publish it. I and your classmates won't be able to see it. So you'll have to come back in and finish this as well. It looks like it's going to take a really long time, but it probably will take you less than 10 minutes. And it's also going to introduce you to a lot of the tools that you'll need to build your site and be successful. So it's totally, totally worth it. So do that tutorial, right? Also make sure to confirm your account in email. Whatever email you tell WordPress that you'd like to have associated with the account, they'll send you a message saying, hey, you just started a WordPress account, click here to make it official. If you don't see it, check your spam filter, it might have gone there. If you don't click on this to confirm your account, again, after you've built your account and you want to share it with me and other people, we won't be able to see it because it's not really there yet until you make it official with WordPress. And finally, make sure that you use that resources page. There are how-to videos. I've made some helpers as well, different step-by-step troubleshooting stuff from WordPress. And in the student work gallery, there are all of those different example blogs. So don't be shy, get in there, figure it out. Part of this project is about troubleshooting and taking initiative and figuring out how to get things done. You're going to find that being flexible, thinking through, okay, I don't know how to do this, how do I figure it out? That is a critical skill, not only to help you be successful in all of your classes moving forward, but in life generally, right? Oh, I don't know how this is working with financial aid. Well, what do you do to figure it out? Right? Can't call parents anymore. This is all you. So the same thing with this, you will be frustrated or you'll have an idea to do something cool and you're not sure how to do it. Hit YouTube and see if you can find a little video. Check out the resources page. I've included things that people have had questions about before. You can message me. You can use the questions about board on the forum and reach out to everybody to see if anybody has advice. And you can certainly visit office hours. We can screen share, and I'm very happy to help you take a look at your account and figure things out. So looking ahead, this week you'll learn a lot more about blogging in the readings, and then you are finishing up your proposal. You got that great feedback from peer review, and so you're just polishing it and getting that to me so that I can see what you'd like to do for your big research project. And you are setting up your WordPress account. So this week is just creating the account, selecting the template that you would like to use, and creating your about page. So we're just making sure everybody's there before we move forward next week and talk about creating your first post. Again, keep in touch, and I can't wait to see what you create.